This is the Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council media briefing for week ending February 16, 2013, where culture and sports are on the agenda. Secretary Gary Melville updates the media on repairs to Dwight York Stadium, the launch of Lalon Gordon Fund, and academic assistance for athletes.
As you will be aware, over the last couple of days and maybe the last couple of weeks, there has been some concerns about the issue of the secondary schools track and field in Tobago zone. There was an issue with the availability of Dwight York Stadium and the level of preparedness of other suggested venues. But the division has been working assiduously with the schools, and we have come to a decision that we would try to organize a Tobago Zonals for February 26th. It's not going to be the kind of grand occasion that we are accustomed to in the past, but we thought it important that our students be given the opportunity to participate in the national championships. And so therefore we're going to have that there in preparation for those championships, which are going to be in Trinidad on March 5th and 6th. In terms of we would have, as I said, a zonal competition to ensure that we have a team to go to Trinidad. In terms of the Dwight York Stadium, which is slated for upgrade of the drainage and the replacement of the Mondo track, that contract has already been signed. There's been a contractor selected, and the THA would be providing funding for the track replacement and drainage upgrade. We are currently drawing up a MOU between us and the sport company. It's expected to cost around $10 million, and work is expected to start in early March. We are, in the division, we are about to launch two very new initiatives, because we are now in Tobago at a state where we have to create programs to ensure that we develop our athletes and our young people. And today, we would have, at the Executive Council, would have put in process the mechanism to operationalize the Lalon Gordon Sport Fund. In August, after the Olympics, the Chief Secretary would have made a commitment to establish that fund, and it's going to be a centralized funding effort to provide support to sport organizations and individuals. The primary purpose of the fund is to develop athletes, coaches, officials, and volunteer administrators. We want to enhance the development of sport participation in Tobago, especially at the elite level. And thus the fund would basically be set up a committee, a funding request assessment committee. We are hoping to operationalize all of that by March. We would contact Mr. Gordon as to his availability, and we would also be contacting various other members of the private sector and so on for support with the particular fund. The fund is operating in a manner where the Assembly is going to put in $1 million into the fund each year, and we are hoping to get additional funding from corporate entities, persons who may have benefited before from involvement in sport, maybe some of our more fortunate individuals. The Assembly will be willing to take cash donations, monthly contributions, financial gifts if people want to leave something in their will for the fund. So we are hoping that through that mechanism, we will be able to provide an opportunity for all of the major participants in sports in Tobago at that particular level to be able to have access for training and further development. That fund, as I said, we hope to launch sometime in March. It's a very important initiative, and it's one that we should have operationalized a few months ago. But of course, we have been grappling with how to put the whole thing together. And we think we know at that point where we could basically move forward expeditiously with the process. Another important initiative that it's not a new initiative, sorry, it was something that was in operation for some years before. It is really about an intention to treat with some of the problems that our young athletes have. In that a number of our young athletes, a lot of emphasis has been placed on their physical development or the development of their physical abilities. And sometimes the academic aspect of their lives is a bit neglected. So that in the past, the Assembly would have come up with what they call a elite student athlete tuition program, right? To prepare athletes for student life. And that program was aimed at preparing the student athletes with the necessary literacy and writing skills so that they could succeed at SAT, the SAT test that is done for entry into U.S. universities and colleges. So that we would have improved their technique, their ability to take those tests, and for them to get the kind of scores that would allow them to access scholarships and get into programs. That program has been neglected for a couple of years now, and we're trying to reinstate it, because it's a program that benefited a number of Tobago athletes over the years, people like Josanne Lucas and Kellyanne Batiste, Latoya Baird, Macan Hislop, Javon Carrington, Kelvin Morris, Lyndon Backus. All of these are persons who would have passed through that same program. So we are hoping to reinstate it again sometime during March. The aim being to get, as I said, those athletes prepared so that their literacy skills and their writing skills can be upgraded, and we can assist them in taking the SAT test and in gaining entry to a school of his or her choice. It's going to focus on athletes between the ages of 16 to 21, because this is normally the age group where coaches are most interested in recruiting athletes. So again, we would be soon doing some advertising of the program and seeking to get a group of students together sometime in March.
In his post-mortem of Carnival, Chairman of the Organizing Committee of Carnival 2013, Wendell Berkeley, congratulated all players.
It takes everybody to make Carnival a spectacle, or the spectacle that it is. So whether you're a winner or not, you know, in terms of competition, I feel a number of people, even though they want to win, usually adds to the festivity, enjoys the mass, enjoys playing mass, and you know, identifies with us as a people, as part of our culture. So I also want to congratulate those people who were part of the activity. In the Calypso, I want to congratulate the Windward Monarch, the Tobago Chokey, and I have some results that, not the Windward, sorry, the Tobago Monarch, Tobago Chokey, and the Windward Monarch, Dylan Thomas. I think, you know, I'm not picking out people. Chokey is a veteran of the art. I think this is probably his fourth or so win. I don't want to commit myself, but he has been winning regularly. I think Dylan, as a young Calypsonian, I really want to stress on his successes. I think he placed in the Young Kings in Trinidad, you know, but I think he is up and moving, and I feel as a good example for all of our young people in the Calypso arts. Of course, Garvey Sandy also, who have been doing well and who is very consistent. I almost believe that she might be one of our future finalists and maybe a winner of the 1 million at some point in time. And so I want to congratulate Mr. King and Tuco for the level of organization and for ensuring again that they had another successful season. In PAN, again, I want to congratulate the new chairman, which is a woman, Miss Mary Toby, for the work done, and we saw the results again. The PAN movement in Tobago seems to be moving in a very positive direction. I mean, when you have at least 3 medium bands competing in a competition in the finals in Trinidad, then I mean it says a lot of good things for us. I want to congratulate NLCB Buccaneers. I think, you know, from the word go, they were in front and they stayed in front. They are also the THA Pan champs. So again, the THA Panorama competition is another innovation that really did a lot for our Pan men, because, you know, it gives them an opportunity where everybody comes together. Because you had RBC, who is another one of the veteran bands that we have, and Cats, and everybody came together in one night, and NLCB was still able to emerge victorious. So it would have been good practice and you know, an assistance to them to go down to the finals. The junior bands also, you know, Speyside have been doing very well under the leadership of Mr. Roll Titus. I want to also congratulate them. And of course, Metro Stars, who is the single Pan champs, and Tobago Panthers, who was the small conventional band champs. And I think, interesting enough, we had young Gerard Balfour as the arranger, you know, and so we have young people who, regardless to whatever is said about them, who are really making strides in the field of culture, and I believe that the future for culture, Carnival, is in good hands. In terms of the masquerade, I want to congratulate the subcommittee of the Tobago Festival Committee 2030. I'll tell you why. Over the years, we have organized Carnival in a way where the interest groups, I mentioned Mr. King and Tuko, I mentioned Ms. Toby, where really the committee becomes a facilitator. And so the interest groups are the people who are given a certain amount of funding and who are really responsible for pulling their troops together and having the business done. It is a sort of empowerment that occurred over, I think it was in 90, and I don't want to quote it, I don't remember the year, but it was introduced where interest groups were given a greater autonomy in managing their business. And so I think it all got well because usually you have interest groups would turn around and say, well, the NCC, or in this case, the Carnival Committee didn't do this or didn't do that. And I mean, when you give them to do and you just facilitate, then, you know, whatever is done or not done, or whatever is done good or whatever is not done so good, all lies in their hands for them to correct it. But I'm saying that to say that in the mass, we have a little situation where for a number of years we have had NCBA Tobago and Tobago Carnival Band Leaders Association. NCBA, I know, now is represented usually by Mr. Sandiford, who's the chairman, and the Tobago Carnival Band Association is led by, I think, Mr. Richard Alfred. And this year we didn't get a direct input from either of these entities. The communique went out. They were asked to come, you know, be part of the subcommittee that's organizing mass. And I think we did not get a favorable response. I think at one instance it was that they were occupied otherwise, and that they were supposed to send representatives who I think didn't come. So I really want to congratulate the subcommittee because, you see, even though you want the interest groups to do their bit, you can't sit down and say, well, the interest groups didn't really come out or they're not responding, so we're going to sit and wait. We had to act, and therefore we had a subcommittee led by Mr. Julian Celestin that included Tabiti, Olimal Gordon Holder, Lincoln Brooks, Gillian Franklin, and Ms. Victoria Mitchell, and they organized the mass. As a matter of fact, direct contact and communication was made with the bands. So they had meetings with the bands as individual bands rather than meetings with like an NCBA or TCBA. I'm saying that to say that, you know, regardless of whatever is said about mass, you know, we have been asking all the time for a coming together of these mass entities, for early coming together, for, you know, coming forward and taking charge of the masquerade activities. And from time to time, it has been a little difficult. And this year, it was even more difficult because some of the major players did not come forward. But I would still want to congratulate all the band leaders, and I want to congratulate all the masqueraders. And whatever input was made by NCBA or TCBA, I still want to thank them for allowing us to have, again, I think, a good display on the streets of mass. A lot of room for a lot of improvement in all the areas. But you know, creativity is something that you continue working on until you get to that point. I think the whole masquerade issue from time immemorial till now is a work in progress, and it's going to always have issues, and issues will always come about. But I still want to congratulate them. I want to take the opportunity to also congratulate the security forces and to, of course, express condolences to the families of the deceased, the people who got into the accident, even though it may not have been Carnival related. I mean, I don't know, but you know, I still want to express condolences to the family and to say that, you know, I think all of Tobago, because from listening to people commenting, I think all of Tobago was a little hurt by the fact that a group of people would have met, you know, that kind of end on a Carnival time when we all supposed to be having fun. But I want to also congratulate TEMA. You know, their reports suggest that there were limited incidents, and then there were things like minor bruises and so, but there were no major incidents. I haven't heard anything out of the police. We tried to contact the senior today, but I think the general impression was that Carnival was pretty safe. You know, we had nothing major in the fire service. I want to congratulate all of them, you know, because, I mean, Carnival is a time where sometimes you have incidents that, you know, that mars the entire celebration. But I want to congratulate all the forces that were out there, and even people in there as individuals, band leaders, etc., the mud band people and all that, who would have taken the extra care to ensure that safety was paramount, even though we were all having fun. I want to put on record that the committee, chaired by myself this year, met with the mud band at least 2 times. I think there was a 3rd meeting, and there was constant dialogue. And the dialogue was not in any direction where nobody was trying to stifle the mud band. I think that's a total untrue. What I think happened, really, is that I think the discussions have started too late. You know, and when you discussing issues like that, where you had to keep going back, you know, go back to your members, bounce off an idea, come back, you need time. You need at least 2 to 3 months. And I feel now is a good time to start to discuss with the mud band, because I know the mud band will come again. And the mud is an institution that is here to stay. And I have said in casual conversation with somebody who was making the point, I have said that if the mud band could attract 8,000 or 9,000, then a statement is being made. You know, and what you have to do is listen to the statement. And there's no question or no issue with running them off the road and they shouldn't play. I listen to somebody going away on that sort of, and I find it to be disgusting, because the reality is any chairman or any committee organizer or any secretary who understands Carnival and Mass knows that the road make to walk on Carnival Day, and don't care what you do, the mud band will come. And therefore the issue is, how do we live and exist with each other? How do we make it work? And when you have young people making a powerful statement, coming 9,000 strong, you gotta better be wise and understand what's happening and try to deal with it sensibly.
Culture Secretary Dr. Denise Soyafat Angus echoed the sentiments expressed by Mr. Berkeley regarding the Mud Mass Band.
I strongly believe that when you have a number of people, thousands of people speaking, that you have to listen. There's no way that we can ignore them, and therefore we have to find a way to embrace them and to look for the strategies that can have that can make sure that they are part of the mass in a structured way. And perhaps even there may be a few opportunities for us in there, because I don't know that Trinidad has such a mud mass in a significant way. And who knows if that could be part of our tourist attraction. But we have to find a way and find strategies in order to make sure it is safe and predictable. And therefore, I hope that the Festival Commission is ready for their mandate, that over the next year, that they have to come up with strategies that would ensure that mud mass is something safe within our communities, and that it will be a part of the whole festival program. I know they started that this term, but it certainly needs to continue.
The Secretary went on to congratulate all the stakeholders for a successful carnival.
Also, special congratulations to all of the Tobago participants, those who participated here and those who would have won in their various categories, but also to the Tobagonians who went to Trinidad and participated. I believe we had about 8 persons who went to Skinner Park. And then also we cannot forget our panelists, Steel Explosion, Carib Dixieland, Cats and Jammers, and of course our NLCB Buccaneers. We say congratulations to all of them, and also RBC Redemption in the large band category. But of course we want to say special congratulations to NLCB Buccaneers. They did extremely well this year, and we continue to look forward to Tobago holding on to that championship. I believe it's 4 years in a row now, and I'm charging all of our Tobago panelists out there to strive for us to hold on to that, that first place position. I also want to commend the Tobago Festival Commission, and of course under the leadership of Mr. Berkeley, for the organizing and facilitating of all of the events leading up to Carnival during this period. And we are looking forward to the same amount of organization with their next project, which would be the Heritage, I believe, coming up. And we hope to be able to commission that committee a little bit earlier than it normally is to ensure that we have a fine product towards the end. As part of the usual post-carnival activities, I would expect that they would be having consultations with the various stakeholders and participants in seeing how can we better the product for the next time around next year. And therefore, I would like to challenge the carnival community that we go beyond looking at carnival as an event and actually take it on as our culture, and therefore begin looking at the different industries that surround the carnival and taking it on in Tobago, not necessarily becoming buyers of carnival from outside of Tobago, but becoming the ones who can create for ourselves and contribute to the different aspects of carnival. Even, perhaps my collaborating greater with my colleague, Mr. Gary Melville, in education, letting us look at how can we increase the culture, the pan, as part of one of the first instruments that our students begin to play. And that is a way that you begin to inculcate the culture rather than us waiting, for that 2 days or just preparing for that 2 weeks and 2 days of combination in February. So we are certainly going to be looking at some of those things in the future.
Dr. Angus also spoke of some of the upcoming programs coming out of her division.
We have the currently the Pride of Tobago program, which they have had applicants since November, and I think the application process closed off at the end of January. And basically, this project is about mobilizing communities to take an active role in addressing their own needs and instilling values of civic pride in our children, youth, and adults and the elderly. And what the program is involved with is asking persons to take on community projects that will either enhance the community, something that is needed within the community, and also perhaps in terms of the environment, looking at environmental issues and coming up with solutions for that. So over the next 6 months, our judges will be going out and evaluating the projects over the next 6 months, and therefore we should be able to come out of that and let you know. The final judging is scheduled for June. So far, 30 participants, I think it's about 30 participants that have been approved to go ahead with their projects. So we look forward to exciting updates before that final judging is taking place. Of course, we have the night market that would have started in Pembroke, and we are actually looking to extend it to different areas like Buku and also the Canaan Bonaccord area over the next 2 months between March and April. In addition to that, we have a number of physical facilities that we would be commissioning within the next 3 months. For example, the Bethesda Multipurpose Community, the Hamden Lowlands Multipurpose Community is also on its way, and also in Betsy's Hope. We have also refurbished a number of community centers and done some significant work to them, including Mason Hall, Delaford, Argyle, Mason Hall, Delaford, Mason Hall and Delaford. We also have the youth spaces, we call them the Y zones, where the youth can feel that they have a space for themselves to come up with activities and to run various programs for their community. And we have those containers in Argyle, Canby, Mount Pleasant, and Calder Hall, and those would be also ready pretty soon for us to be able to commission. In addition to that, we have been able to enhance some of the community facilities whether by additions or creating space within them for what we call the walk-in centers. And this has been a collaboration between the Division of Community Development and Culture and also the 211 Center, where we have provided a bank of computer hardware and software programs to facilitate greater access to the internet technology, the IT availability within communities. And therefore, over the next few weeks, we will be looking at also commissioning those for the Argyle, Parlatouvier, John Dial, Marys Hill, and Blackrock areas. And so we are looking forward to getting a number of those projects completed over the next 3 to 6 months. In addition to that, we have 2 exciting new initiatives that I'd like to share with you. We know that month of May is usually Mother's Day, but we are looking at it to be the whole month of May and expressing that I am woman. And that program is really going to assist with women recognizing and identifying with their physical, emotional, spiritual, and even financial well-being. I Am Woman speaks to being wise, outstanding, motivated, adventurous, and noble. And that is the acronym we are going to be using. So there'll be a number of activities throughout the month. We'll be involving various communities in determining what level of activity that they would like to bring to the table within this whole within the whole program of I Am Woman. And of course, we are not going to leave the men out, because within the month following, we do have that program, which was initially crafted quite in-depth, and we call it the Macho Man. And that is expected to be also quite an exciting program and a competitive program for the, competing with the month before. And Macho speaks to being multifaceted, assertive, caring, healthy, and outstanding. And in addition to speaking to the health and well-being of men, the training and development aspect, and income generation, it also is going to be engaging community leaders and policymakers in discussions on how to make community organizations and community-based services more gender sensitive. Many times we think when we speak to gender sensitivity, we tend to think is how can we make sure that the woman is present in every facet. But we are now recognizing that when we speak to gender sensitivity, we also have to speak to the man and the upcoming youth, where men are concerned, boys are concerned. It also seeks to highlight the work of positive male role models in troubled communities and to teach community leaders how to attract unattached and hard-to-reach male youth. So you can see that it is going to be a very comprehensive program. It would also involve a significant health piece, because we know that men are usually not the ones who easily go to the medical centers for their health care, and therefore we will have a significant component of health and screening and education in that where the men are concerned. Also, it is not going to be a traditional within a community center or within a facility, but they will be taking the information to the streets and the byways where normally the men choose to hang out. So it is going to be quite a flexible program, and we are looking forward to it. I believe there's also a piece including that it says village council men can cook. And we are also looking at a sports segment along with it. So quite a number of activities are coming up, and the division is certainly going to be quite busy. We are through with Carnival, but we do have the rest of the year ahead of us. and we're looking forward to it.
Thank you for watching the Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council Media Briefing for the week ending February 16, 2013. For the Department of Information, I am David Jacobs.